He was the king of Hollywood who had the world at his feet, always playing the lover, adventurer, and even cowboy. A career spanning over 40 years and remembered with his sophisticated style of acting and to his appearance that made him so iconic. Later becoming a war hero and assisting other actors during the Second World War. This is the legendary Clark Gable, and this is his basic biography. Early life. Clark Gable was born on the 1st of February 1901 in Ohio, USA. His parents were from working class backgrounds. His father was an oil engineer, whilst his mother was a housewife. Whilst growing up, his mother would pass away, and then he was sent to live with other relatives. His father would later raise him once he got remarried. His stepmother would raise him as her own, and would assist him in life. She would teach him to become a gentleman and even attend school to better himself. He was growing up poor, but had an unkempt appearance due to his stepmother dying whilst being in his teen years. This was in the late 1910s and would affect his father tremendously. He would work as a mechanic and loved working with cars, with sometimes working for tire companies in order to make ends meet, whilst his father was slowly losing his job and money at the same time. He left school whilst being a teenager and started working odd jobs just to support his father, and even trying to get himself out of living in a harsh environment. He even was able to travel with other theatre companies to become an actor, whilst leaving his odd jobs behind. Whilst having an acting career, he would have to take time in various theatre groups and even change his appearance whilst being an actor by fixing his teeth as well as looking apart as a new actor on stage. Even taking up work on various stage productions in the 1920s, would start working on stage as an actor, working through various stage productions in the 1920s and making it to Broadway to become successful. He was an established actor with his productions lasting throughout the whole decade of the 1920s, and even gained some acting credits as an extra throughout this decade. However, production studios were able to hire him in Hollywood, as he would be still playing as an extra that he was doing on stage, but now a lead Hollywood actor. Later on, he would make himself known to both theatre and in movies. However, Hollywood managed to hire him as a new actor and a new lead in the wake of the 1930s as well as the Great Depression. Clark Gable was safe in the acting community, making himself adapt in new movie roles, and even leaving his old Hollywood stage behind by getting offered new contracts to kickstart his career. The first movie that had him leading was called The Painted Desert in 1931, as this was Clark Gable's first work in this first Western genre film. This would make the Western genre a big hit and even a big money maker, and making both Clark Gable and William Boyd two new Western stars. This meant the low-budget Western would become a new and even improved genre that could help fuel Clark Gable's career, and even the deflated budgets of the movie production studios around California. The silent film was slowly fading away, and Clark Gable's extra acting days have now long gone. He would be welcomed in open arms to the talking pictures, and even being helped in the 1930s to launch his own career. The first film that he ever had would help him be employed in many movies coming ahead. Other movies would come in big droves, as movies such as The Mutiny on the Bounty in 1935 would have him playing as a character based on the real-life story of HMS Bounty that would be made into a movie which everyone around the world would watch and be entertained to see the young mustachioed Clark Gable being the lead that Hollywood really wanted. From nothing to something in Hollywood, Clark Gable was becoming a lead actor in the span of the 1930s and was part of the Hollywood elite, whilst being one of the highest paid actors of his generation. He is now the king of Hollywood, which was given to him based on his final film role in the 1930s, which was the film called Gone with the Wind in 1939, that made him a star that that made him an overnight success, as well as an icon in that era. He would star with up-and-coming actors and actresses from Vivian Leigh, Olivia de la Havilland, and even future Superman, George Reeves. This would make him be one of the greatest films of all time, and would be one of the highest grossing films of all time. After the success of Gone with the Wind, Clark Gable managed to continue his career in the 1940s. And now having a chance to join the United States Air Force during World War II. He would work alongside fellow actor James Stewart in his war effort, as well as acting in Hollywood. Before meeting James Stewart, he would still work with Hollywood elites, from Spencer Tracy to Jean Harlow, and even the elderly and even aging Joan Crawford, throughout his early stardom. James Stewart would spend most of his time in the Air Force, over 20 years in fact, whilst acting. But Clark Gable would be only enlisted in World War II, whilst promoting the war efforts to everyone in the United States and even around the world, with various propaganda, and even gaining star status. Once the war was over, Clark Gable was able to get back into the acting full-time, and even spend more time in various film roles, and be again a favourable acting lead. His persona during the 1940s would change from a lover man to an adventurer, as well as becoming a war hero to help excel his career, with people at the time wanting more heroes fighting villains in the form of war or western films. The 1950s would see the great actor work on film roles that were more inclined to westerns rather than his 1940s films. Another western he would star in was called A Lone Star in 1952, having him working with another Hollywood elite. Her name was Ava Gardner. The rest of the 1950s would have the aging Clark Gable take on more movie roles as a hero, such as Mongabo in 1953, where he would star again with Ava Gardner. And then even in Run Silent and Run Deep in 1958, with a new leading actor called Burt Lancaster. Personal life and final years. Clark Gable was married at least 5 times in his life, and would have 2 children in his relationships. First wife was Josephine Dillon from 1924 to 1930. Second wife was Maria Langham and they were both married from 1931 to 1939. His third wife was Carol Lombard from 1939 to 1942 was their relationship, whilst his fourth wife was Sylvia Ashley, and their relationship lasted from 1949 to 1952. His final wife was Kay Williams. They were both married from 1955 till his death in 1960. He would have a Hollywood career spanning over 40 years, and believed to be only winning 1 Academy Award in his career. He would work on stage and even Hollywood throughout his career, and was able to travel the world in the next part of his Hollywood career. In the 1960s would be his final career, acting decade, as the late 1950s would be him playing as an aging hero, whilst starting out playing as a father figure, or more of a hero on his last legs. Due to not being able to work on television, which fellow actors and actresses were doing at the time, during his later life, he would still work in film and even star in his last film roles until his timely death. His last film role was The Misfits in 1961, where he would star with the beautiful Marilyn Monroe. Legacy of a Hollywood King. The Hollywood King Clark Gable passed away on the 16th of November 1960 at the age of 59 in California, USA. He had some health issues before passing away and was able to be treated for this, but yet could not still keep a healthy lifestyle. He would have a legacy after his death, and will be remembered until today, and even till today. His performances were televised around the world and even had a chance to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and even being nominated for many awards by various organizations. His family were able to still keep his legacy alive, and having a grandson that will be also called Clark Gable, but his real name would be Clark James Gable, who is another actor and even a model and even made it big in Hollywood like his grandfather. Yet, the reign of the king still lives on, with each and every actor or actress watching his films and even being inspired by his films and by his success. From his big screen success to his from the big screen to the small screen, Clark Gable will still be a king indeed. Now, thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't done so. I'm Suki Cookie, and stay tuned for more videos and more content like this. Thank you.